Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I just got back from a consulting trip where I visited 3 different properties, and one of them was a really exciting property. Well, 2 of them actually are really interesting tracts of land, a little different. This one I happen to have some handy dandy large scale maps, so I thought maybe as I was drawing this up I would show you what we had planned for this property. Now, beautiful property. It's got an old farm here, a pond. This is, you can't see how steep it is, but this is a steep ravine. This ravine goes up that way, and then there's a steep ravine that comes up this way. Very steep little creek bank in here. Okay. Now, this is all brushy with a couple grassy openings. That up there they normally have goldenrod in the summertime, but once it snows real heavy it'll smash down, so it's all kind of smashed down at this point. Open field here with grass. The property line is here. It does go across the road, and we'll talk about that next. And the property line goes kind of like this. Alright? So you can see that tree row is the property line. The way it's set up now is that they have a box blind sitting in the middle of this field, and it has switchgrass planted all around that. This rolls down, okay, so this is going downhill, but you can see everything from that blind. You can see everything up to the neighbor's property from there as well. This block of woods is this beautiful hemlock, red maple, sugar maple stand that I like a lot for transition areas. There's a natural opening right in here, and what I'd like to do is put in a little bow range burn plot there. In other words, we'll burn a little patch, and there's a perfect tree to stick a stand in. The wind in that spot as we were standing there was going like this. Okay, it's coming out of the southwest. The prevailing wind is this way, out of the northwest and west, but it's hilly country, and you have thermals coming up these hills. The Susquehanna River is down that way, and as the sun comes up, air comes up this way and swirls all over the place. So I think that you can approach that stand like this, sneak into it. This is a big block of timber and a mountain over there, so deer will feed in to get at the food that we're going to plant. Now, what we're decided to do, there's a trail that cuts across like this, comes through this brush. There's a lot of dogwood and willow down in here. This is all wetland. There's already a trail cutting through here to get to farmer fields over this way. There's also a trail here. Now, there's a bunch of things that we want to do here to change things around and make it better. First of all, I don't like the switchgrass in the middle of the field. What I want to do is take the switchgrass and plant this area in switchgrass. That blocks the neighbor from seeing in here. Blocks, there's a guy that hunts right up in here out of another tower stand, and we don't want him to see down in here, and we don't want deer to smell him and get spooked. So we're going to do switchgrass here, and I'm thinking that that will create an edge, that deer will come out of these woods, follow that edge, and head out to our different final food destinations. So this will all be food. This is the top of the field. This is the height of land here. It goes down into this ravine and back up. Now what I want to do is move the stand over here. Put it in, there's a flat spot right here, so that you can from there you can see over these trees into this food. You can shoot all of this. And then we're going to put switchgrass down at the bottom of this field, maybe up to this pine tree. There's a pine tree there. This would be switchgrass, and this would be food. From what the landowner tells me, a lot of deer bed down in this ravine, and they come out of there to feed. And that'll create a soft edge there that they'll feel really comfortable coming out to where you can see them. You can see that pine tree from this hill. So that creates another edge effect here and some comfort, some screening comfort, okay? That's going to be big because that's kind of a project, moving those things, but that's just in the wrong place. You can't get to it without spooking deer or letting everybody know that you're hunting. This site's going to be better for archery because what we're also going to do, there's some deer traffic. I would say that there's buck cruising traffic going this way because there's a lot of farm fields on either side, and then this area is all brushy, thick bottoms. We're going to plant pine trees in this hill here to buffer that, hoping that deer will come this way, but some deer are going to go around this pond. This pond creates a pinch point. There's also buck traffic that goes right up this hollow in the bottom of that ravine. If we have the stand here, we're going to have this edge effect. We're going to cut with a forestry mower a nice trail that might bring deer out to our stand site there. Bucks will go across this way, and we're thinking that bucks will pass along here and go around the pond and out to food. Here we're going to have, in this field, this gets pretty steep down this way, so we don't want to have annuals there. We'll probably, on that steep ground, we'll probably put perennial, so we don't have the danger of operating down there with tractors on steep slopes. The rest of it will be our fall planted annuals. So this is going to be excellent chow to draw deer from the neighbor's property over and draw deer and keep them around here, okay? Now, this stand can be accessed through the neighbors, and you can walk right in here. Depending on what the wind's doing, you can come in from the house, you know, in the northwest wind, and you're not going to spook anything. Now, also up in here, there's some maples. This is a maple patch, and it's kind of pole timber, so we want to do some cutting in the wintertime to make browse, and also set up some corridors where we could put another stand over here. There's already a trail where deer have been coming to get to a cornfield. You see this little field here, that's usually planted in corn, and if there's corn to be had, deer are going that way. So that might be a good place for a stand, and we'll cut some maples to narrow down their travel route. So pine planting, forage, fall forage, switchgrass, switchgrass. This area here will get our burn food plot, and we'll stick a stand right here, and that's going to be a super morning spot. As deer drift back up towards that mountain, they're going to linger in here. This is a perfect woodlot for just a staging area where does will go in there and congregate, bucks will go in there and make rubs and scrapes and goof around. Now what we might want to do is get a logger in there to just get things thickened up a little bit on the ground, get some tops on the ground, get some of those big old nasty hemlocks down and laying down, and then deer might start bedding down in there. Alright, so the next thing, when we go across the street, Alright, here's the farm, and here's that bottom thick stuff where deer travel back and forth. You can see rubs and trails all along this bottom, going back and forth. Then there's a creek down in here where bucks tend to congregate and bed down. Okay, it's undisturbed property. Great big field here. This is the property line. Property line, property line. Property line coming down here. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is all kind of marshy in here, this whole area. So we might want to stick some willows and red osier dogwood for browse and more cover in there. You know, just to thicken up this whole corridor. Same thing in here. This has a small field full of apple trees and goldenrod. So this is also a good spot for an archery stand if the wind is right. It has to be coming out of the east. You can't use it. But what I want to do is put this in switchgrass, this little field, cut a trail. There's already a trail there. There's a tractor opening in this wall. There's a little stone wall and fence. There's an opening in the fence right in this corner. This tree right here would be a great spot for an archery stand. This would get corn and possibly rotate with beans. So corn, beans, rotation. And here, this is very steep going down over. So right about here is the split where we'll put just a clover chicory blend in here. This will all be perennials. So this will be a summer, early fall feeding. And this will be corn for cover and hunting season food. We might try to sneak some cowpeas and soybeans in with that corn. There's 4.5 acres there, so there's enough space that we could probably get away with that. Then a guy could come down here. Nothing can see you from up here, especially if there's corn. Come down the property line up here, jump into a stand, west wind, and you got it made. And then there's another spot over here. I think that's the pine tree that I'd like to put a permanent stand in, and you can see out across this way. Shoot into the field, and there's a lot of traffic going along the edge of the woods here. This is also a steep hill going down. So deer feel pretty comfortable because they have the edge of the woods, and the hill hides them from the road and the houses up here. So that's a central location that you can sneak into from up above and get in there and possibly catch deer moving up and down during the rut. I really think this is a really good rut spot. So that's it. I mean, that's the layout. We're going to get a lot of food growing in this place. There's nothing much to eat there right now. And hopefully draw a ton of deer to the area. It's great hunting there. I think the potential is fantastic because we have nice hiding places and big mountains up that way, and very broken up terrain in here with various farms and wood lots and all different crops growing. It's mostly hay fields, but if we get some clover, that's going to be a huge draw in the summertime. And then annual, warm season annuals, cool season annuals up here. It's going to be a good hunting tract when we get done with it. Give it a couple of years and we'll get this thing turned around. They do sort of well right now, but they're not hunting it correctly. And once we get stands in the right locations and sneak into those stands and sneak out of them without spooking deer, it's going to be a whole different ball game. If you want to see how we do food plots in the woods right from scratch, you know, cutting the timber and turning it into a food plot, I'll put a link at the end here that you can click over and see how that gets done. You can see how the sausage is made. All right, hope you enjoy.